Let's take a look at it. Oh, nice, that's looking good. Hey YouTube friends, Will Chapman here with Backyard Smoking and Grilling with Will. I hope everybody's having a fantastic day today. We finally got some good weather. Seems like it's rained every other day now for like the last 4 months, but we're going to have a couple of days of warm weather, and that gets me ready to do some barbecuing, and we're going to do one of my favorite things. We're going to do some pulled pork. We're going to smoke a couple of pork butts, and we're going to do it a little different. We're going to do something I've been wanting to try ever since I got my Traeger pellet smoker. And for most of my life, I've used offset smokers, wood burning offset smokers, or charcoal smokers where you add wood chunks and wood chips and that kind of thing. But the reason I bought a pellet smoker is when you have a wood burning smoker, if you're cooking something that takes a long time, like a pork butt or a beef brisket or something like that, you've got to sit and tend to fire all day long, which for me is relaxation, but for a lot of people that's kind of a pain. Plus, you just don't always have the time to do that. But with the pellet smokers, you can set them almost like an oven and kind of walk away, and you can do everything you need to do during the day. You can go play golf. You can do all those things. But what I'm going to do tonight, I'm going to put the pork butts on about 11:30 tonight, set it, and I'm going to bed.
Turn it on and you set it and...
And which is strange for me. I can't believe the technology of these things. Be able to control it with an app on your phone, that kind of thing, is just amazing, since I've used wood-burning, wood-fired smokers pretty much my whole life. We're going to see how it goes. I have not done this yet. I've not done this since I got this smoker, but I've been wanting to try this. So I'm going to put them on tonight, go to bed, set my alarm clock for about 6:30 tomorrow morning, and we're going to find out. Keep your fingers crossed. Hopefully the power doesn't go out and it shuts off. We'll have to start over. But remember guys, if I can do this, you can certainly do this, because you can do anything you set your mind to. So sit tight, and I'll meet you in the kitchen and we'll get the meat prepped. Okay guys, we got lucky at the grocery store the other day. I found a marked down pork butt. We almost never find that anymore. Right here, it's about a 6-pound pork butt. It was reduced in the dead meat aisle, what I like to call it. Anyway, it's about 6 pounds, a little small for a pork butt, but it'll be perfect for what we're doing here today. Okay, here we go. We got it dried off. It's good to go. You've got this mostly meat side. On one side you have this blade bone that starts out really wide here on one side and kind of goes down into a triangle all the way almost to the other side. You've got a whole big layer of fat on one side, the fat cap here. I'm not going to fool with trimming that off. It doesn't feel very thick. I am going to go ahead and just score it a little bit, just to make the fat rendering a little easier when it cuts, and it's a little easier to get rid of when it's done. So that's all I'm going to fool with this on this side. And then on this other side, and we're going to be careful around this, this is the money muscle, and I'll explain more about that in a little bit. But some of this excess fat here, I am going to trim off a little of that. No reason to keep all that on there. It just makes it a little more difficult when you get around to pulling it later. So I'm going to trim just a little bit of that off, and just a little bit around the money muscle here. And just to show you what this is, this muscle that runs across the front of it, and probably the most narrow end of the pork butt, it has the most intramuscular fat. I mean, it's almost like Wagyu beef. It's always the tenderest part, and they call it the money muscle because in a competition, this is the part that you want to turn in. But this is the part you want it turned in. It's going to be the tenderest, it's going to be the juiciest, and that's going to have the best flavor, and it's what makes you money in a competition. So any odd little pieces here that you see, you can trim those off. Got a little blood spot there. I'm going to trim that off right here next to the money muscle. This butt's gotten warm, so it's a little harder to deal with. They get kind of mushy when they warm up. That's easier to trim when they're cold. Trying not to cut myself in the process. Anyway, got most of that. There is a seam here, and you can really kind of spend a lot of time going in there getting all the fat and the sinew that's out there, but we'll just go ahead and deal with that when we pull it later after it's done. Okay, last thing we're going to do is go ahead and get it rubbed. Actually, I usually like to make my own rub, but sometimes I like to try different rubs, and I was by Academy Sports the other day getting some more pellets, and they have a ton of different rubs and barbecue sauces, and I've seen this on YouTube several times. The Meat Church products. Meat Church they have a YouTube page. It's a guy who runs a restaurant somewhere down in Texas. But anyway, been wanting to try it, so we're going to give this a little try here. Looks like it has most of the standard stuff that you want in good southern pulled pork, barbecue rub, a lot of sugar, mostly salt, but some paprika, garlic powder, those kind of things. So we'll get that done. I'm not going to bother to, sometimes I'll use like mustard for a binder.
Mustard's good on them to me.
I'm not going to fool with that today. Sometimes I think that just kind of makes a bit of a mess too, a little extra cleanup. So I'm going to rub this all around, and then we'll get it in the fridge. And we'll get a bunch on this side. This is the meat side. This is where most of our bark's going to come from once it's done, and I want to get a lot of seasoning on that. Because like I said, it's a large piece of meat. It's going to cook a long time. It's probably going to be a total of somewhere around 11 or 12 hours. Maybe a little less since this one's not terribly big. I think that looks pretty good. I'm going to get this in the fridge, and we'll definitely add some more rub to it right before we get it on the smoker. Cross our fingers. It's going to turn out. We'll see. Okay guys, it's about time to put the pork butt on the smoker. I'm going to add just another little layer of the rub here. You can see some liquid has already kind of been drawn out by the rub and the salt and all that, but I'm going to hit it with just a little more there. So like I said, this is a big piece of meat. It can take quite a bit. We're going to head out to the smoker. We're going to get it on, get the probe in it, and then we're going to see what we see. Okay guys, we've got the smoker going really well here. We're going to go ahead and get this pork butt on. Mess. And there we go. We're up to 235. It's not 235 right now, but it will be again here shortly. And whoop, I almost forgot about the probe. Don't want to forget that. Right in the center. About midway through. And now we're going to go to bed and see what we'll see about 6:30 this in the morning. Cross your fingers, hopefully it works. We'll see. Okay guys, it's a little after 7 in the morning. If you can see, hope you can see that. We're at 237 on the temperature, 175 on the probe, which is the internal temperature of the meat.
Where are they? I think they're talking about us. No way.
So we should be getting about right at time to wrap. I'm gonna double check it with my instant read thermometer too, just to make sure. Let's take a look at it. Oh nice, that's looking good. Looking very good. I'll go ahead and double check it here with my instant read. Inside. Okay. It says about 163. I think this temperature probe that comes with the actual smoker is maybe reading just a little hot. That's okay, it gives us a pretty good idea. We know probably it's probably reading about 5 degrees warm. But we know that now, so we can actually use that to our advantage. But what I'm going to do now, color looks great. It's still got a ways to cook. We need to get it to about 200, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap it now, and then we'll finish cooking it till it gets about right at 200 degrees internal temperature, and we'll see you then. Okay guys, we got it wrapped. It looks great, and I'm going to go ahead and bump the temperature up to about 250 from 235, and we'll go ahead and push it through and get it to the correct doneness that we're looking for. Not sure how much longer it'll take, at least a couple of hours. We should end up with hopefully a tender and delicious pork butt here. So sit tight and I'll be right back. Okay guys, we're back in the kitchen. Had a slight hiccup outside. It started raining. And So I decided, well, I better go ahead and bring it in. We're at 196 on the internal temperature, which is just shy of our target of about 200. But I think we can go ahead and take it out, leave it covered, and we'll get some carryover cooking, and it'll take it over to 200. It should be just about perfect. Here we go. Take that probe out. Turn the oven off, and I'm just going to let it rest here. I'll tell you, just because I can't stand it, I think we should go ahead and take a peek. Oh yeah, nice. Okay, color looks great. It's that nice mahogany color that you want.
Oh, you should see what it looks like from out here.
You can see this bone right here. Oh yeah, it's just about to fall out. Well, it is falling out on its own. That's like the pop-up temperature thing in a turkey. When it pops up, you know you're done. When this comes out this easy, this was a small blade bone, but anyway, when it comes out that easy with no effort, you know it's going to be tender and juicy and really good. So I'm going to go ahead and just loosely wrap that back up, give it a chance to continuation cook just a little bit, and then I'm gonna give it about 45 minutes to an hour, let it cool down just a little bit, make it easier to pull, and then we're gonna get it pulled and we're gonna taste it, and that's the fun part. Okay friends, I've had coffee, had a shower, had more coffee, so I'm back among the living now. The pork butt's been resting here for about an hour. It should be good to go and ready to pull, so we're gonna have at it here. Remember, just to recap real quickly, I put it on last night at about 11:45-ish, something like that, p.m., and cooked it till about 7:15 this morning. Went out and checked it. You saw it looked great. We went ahead and wrapped it, brought it inside because it started raining, put it in the oven at 270, another 2 hours, so it was done by about 9:30, so that's overall about a little less than 10 hours total cook time, which makes sense. It's a smaller pork butt. It is only about 6 pounds. It smells fantastic. I think I did have a little bite of it, and it tastes really good. So let's go ahead and get this pulled, and hopefully it'll be tender and delicious. So here we go. Let's get this opened up. Oh, it looks, man, look at that color. That looks great. I've got my nitro gloves over my cloth gloves, so I've got some insulation here. It'll still be kind of hot in the inside, but let's just start to pull this apart. And it's literally just kind of coming apart on its own. You'll find some fat in there. That just scrapes right off, no problem. Beautiful. There's that good money muscle there. I'm going to go ahead and pull that off. That'll just fall apart. Yeah, that's the best part of it right there. But you can see it just literally just at the slightest amount of pressure and it pulls apart, no problem. Beautiful bark. Definitely want as much of that as we can get in there. Yeah, it's just literally falling apart. Man, that's so good. Just tender as it can be. Just kind of comes apart. And here's that money muscle I was talking about. I'll pull some of that excess fat off of it. But that's literally the most tender part of the whole pork butt. Okay guys, that's all of it pulled. As you can see here, it's pretty much all just fat left. There's a couple of little pieces there. Get my hand greasy, but that's almost all fat. But check this out. So much bark, it just literally falls apart. And I'm going to add, just to give the lily a little bit more of the rub and toss it. Oh man, it's so, you can just feel it in your hands. It's so tender. It's amazing. This is going to be great no matter how you do it. Serve it up on a bun, for a sandwich, on a plate. Or one of my favorite things, especially with leftover barbecue. Make nachos with it. Chips, a handful of the pork here. Cheese, jalapeno slices in the broiler for about 10 minutes. Then take it out, drizzle a good barbecue sauce over it, along with some pico de gallo or some salsa, and you've got an amazing meal just on that. But man, this is so good, so tender, and you saw nothing to it. So easy, look at that piece. Okay friends, I hope you enjoyed that video. Another one in the books here. That pork butt turned out absolutely fantastic. I will say, one thing about the Traeger, and I really like the Traeger, the convenience of that thing is amazing compared to like an offset smoker or charcoal. It's just so easy to set it and walk away. One thing that you don't get, I don't think, as much is the real smoke flavor that you would get from an offset, a real wood fire or a charcoal fire with some wood chunks. And I think it has more to do with the pellets, because I read that when I was doing research for which grill to buy. A lot of people said the Traeger pellets don't provide a lot of smoke, and I think it's because they're not 100% real wood like some other brands are. So I'm going to have a video comparing different brands of pellets, see which one provides the most smoke flavor, more like what an offset smoker would give you. But that's one for down the road. Anyway guys, hit the like and subscribe button if you like this. I've got a lot more videos planned. So in the meantime guys, please be good to one another. Tell the people in your life that you love them, because you never know. And I'll see you on the next video. Take care.